Being a Parent and a Law Firm Owner, Episode 23. Are you ready to make your law firm a profit-generating machine that will free up your time and skyrocket your impact? With more than 2 decades of business growth experience and having proven that you can be successful while prioritizing your family and your impact, introducing the Profit with Law podcast. I am your host, the creator of the Firm Differentiator 10X Effect, Moshe Amsel. Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Profit with Law. I am your host, Moshe Amsel. Today I wanted to try something a little bit different. And normally when I record these shows, I spend a little bit of time to create an outline for myself and just make some bullet points of what I want to cover. And then I free speak into the microphone and provide the content that I record here for you on the show. And today I felt inspired to try to create an episode without creating any bullet points at all. It's just after midnight, and I went to the gym, and I worked out at the gym for an hour, or 45 minutes actually, just a cardio workout. And while I was on the elliptical, I was really thinking about what I felt called to share with you today. And it revolved around the 4-letter word that we like to throw around as the biggest reason why we can't do things, and that is time. I titled the episode Being a Parent and a Law Firm Owner because there's a unique perspective that I have as a parent in what's involved in running a business, and I wanted to touch on that a lot because I think that is the other biggest time commitment in our lives if you're a parent. But if you're not a parent, this episode will still be very relevant to you because we're going to be talking about time and in whatever sense it comes up. And I didn't prep for this. I just want to try to create something out of scratch here without really pre-thinking the content, and just see how it turns out, see how you guys like it, and see if it turns into a good episode. So one of the things that I have always struggled with is my weight and my ability to take care of myself. And I was at an event last year where I was talking to a coach, and I told the coach, I said, look, my number one priority, like my number one core value is family. And then I'm building my business. And I'm building my business because I have a mission, and my mission is to empower all people with wealth creation so that this and future generations can lead a better life. And taking care of myself always seems to take a back seat. Everything that I do is all about serving others and serving my family, and that's why I feel like I'm always struggling with my health. And in that conversation, he made 2 really, really good points, which I could have arrived at myself, but I needed an outside perspective to tell me. One point that he made, which is the obvious one, is, well, if you die tomorrow, your kids are not going to have you, and therefore, what good are you going to be? And as a paramedic, that's one of the things that they teach you, and they kind of like ingrain it into you, is every time that you come onto a scene, you need to do a scene safety check first. So they have you, every time you do a scenario, you're always repeating scene safety, scene safety. That's the first thing you're checking, because what good are you as a first responder if you're incapacitated or dead before you can even go to help somebody? So that was the first thing, is, you need to be healthy, not because of you, but because of the people that rely on you, if that is your commitment. And the second thing that he said is that, and let me just remember exactly how it goes. So basically he said, your objective as a parent is to be a good example to lead by example and to show them what they should be doing so that you're preparing them for their adult life. And what you're doing is you're showing them by example that they should sacrifice themselves in order to help others. And is that really what you want to teach them to do? Like, if you were telling your child this is what you should be doing, would you be saying you should not take care of yourself in order to take care of your family? Or would you want to show them that they should take care of themselves while taking care of their families? Like, what is the example that you're trying to lead and you're trying to show them? And what that conversation did is it really created my desire to try to change the situation and really incorporate my own personal well-being into my life. And that conversation transpired in January. It's now July. Since then, what I did was first I started Pilates, and I did Pilates pretty religiously for about 3 months. And then I had some sort of nerve issue in my neck and my head, which I thought was related to Pilates, that I pulled something that caused it. So I stopped Pilates completely during that time. Now, I also didn't alter my diet, and really my weight didn't change at all. So I felt good about the stretching that I was doing, and I felt more limber, but I didn't feel like I really changed anything. So now I signed up with a personal trainer, and about a week ago, I started a new meal plan, and I'm now meeting with a personal trainer twice a week, and I'm supposed to do cardio every day. I always, when I diet, and I'm a serial dieter, so I've dieted 3 times major diets successfully, and each time I was able to shed 50-something pounds. Now, I'm not huge, but I am overweight. I'm 5'8", and I weigh, when I started the diet now, I weighed 257 pounds. Now, I should ideally be where I'm comfortable, where I look pretty good, is 185, 190, somewhere in that range. So I'm significantly more than I should be. And it's also significantly more than I've ever been historically. So each time that I dieted, I started at a certain number and worked my way down from there. The first time I dieted, I started at 224 and worked down from there. The next time from 233, worked my way down from there. The next time from 234, worked my way down from there. And this time from 257. So this is definitely the heaviest I've ever allowed myself to get before taking some sort of action. However, what I want to do is make a change in my life and not have this be a passing fad. And my issue with diets is that as soon as I reach some sort of target level, I can now let out a sigh and breathe in and say, okay, it's over. This massive hunger regime I put myself through is now done, and I can go back to my old ways. And that's basically what I've done every single time. And this time, I really want to change myself permanently. And one of the ways that I'm going to do that is I'm not dieting. I'm using a meal plan now, which is really helping guide me to make better decisions with my meals. But it's also pushing me to have my meals on a clock at certain times. And then the other thing is time at the gym. Or it doesn't have to be at the gym. It could be at home. But it's time for me to start incorporating cardio into my life more frequently, and if not daily, and also strength training 2 or 3 times a week. I'm certainly not going to try to be a bodybuilder. Like, that's not my aspiration. That's not where I'm heading. But I want to be lean. I want to be fit. And I want to be in shape. I want to take care of myself and prepare myself for the best possible life that I have ahead of me. And also be a good example for my kids so that they see that this is really important. But why did I go into this whole tirade, it's not a tirade, this whole rant about my health and this whole story? The reason is because on top of everything else I have going on, it's another time commitment. It's another thing that is going to be taking away from me. But let's talk about time for a second, because as a parent, I don't know if your spouse also works. Mine does. So my spouse works and I work. And my spouse has a job where she has a certain amount of days off. And I own my own business. So I control my own schedule. What that means is that by default, when somebody gets sick, I am nominated automatically to be the parent that is going to take care of the sick child. So if there are, I don't know, let's see, there's 5 times 52. There's 260 work days in the year, minus holidays, so it's less than that. So, let's say 250 work days in the year. Well, if you have little ones at home and your child has a fever, they're not allowed to go to school or go to daycare. They have to stay home. You now have probably 150 days left to you because kids get sick, especially when they're going to daycare or to school. They're being exposed to this stuff. Maybe my kids get sick more, or maybe I just have a lot of kids, but I have 2 babies at home. I have 2 kids that are in this category. My older kids, if they get sick, they can stay home by themselves, and I don't need to be involved. But I have 2 babies. They're 3.5 and 2 at the time of this recording, and they get sick often. I mean, it's not every day, but when they get sick, they get fever, they're sick for a week. They're home from daycare for a week because they have to be fever free for 24 hours. So they might be fine bouncing off the walls, but they had fever the day before and therefore they're home. So that's the first trial, tribulation thing that I have going on as a parent is, that constantly my plans are being derailed because of, somebody getting sick. That's one thing. The other thing is, and this could be even somebody who doesn't have kids, but when you have kids, it just compounds the issue, is all of the household chores that you have at home, doing the laundry, washing the dishes, cooking dinner, making breakfast, doing the grocery shopping. The list goes on and on and on about the things that require our time and our, basically they command our evenings, our mornings, our weekends. And that is another piece of this puzzle of being so strapped for time. Now, if you have an office, then at least when you leave the house and you go to the office, you're there and you're able to, or hopefully able to be productive while present in the office. But if you work from home, there's all kinds of other distractions. Now, if you're also trying to take care of yourself the way that I just talked about, where you want to be healthy and physically fit, and you have kids, you don't have the option of going to the gym at 7 a.m. because you're busy with the kids. So you either start your day really, really early at 5 a.m, or you choose to go to the gym or get your workout in after the kids are off to school, which could be that you're not getting into the office till 10 a.m. when other people are there at 8. There's one person that I have been watching online that is doing Facebook Lives at 8 o'clock in the morning. At 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm dealing with breakfast and getting a kid on the bus. I couldn't even think about doing a regular Facebook Live at 8 o'clock in the morning, let alone watch one. I can't watch one either. But that's just not realistic for me as a parent. Somebody else who has older kids or doesn't have kids, certainly all the power to them. They can do that. So how do we deal with all of these things and also be really, really successful with our law firm? And is there really enough time in the day to do everything well? Is there really enough time to be a good parent, run a household, and also have a successful law firm? So the first thing that I want to do is I want to tell you, yes, I firmly believe that you can do all the above and do them very well. And I want to offer a couple of ways for you to approach this from a perspective that you can think about that might help you to find better ways to do things than you're already doing right now. The first is that you need to recognize the value of your time. And I'm not talking about productive value while you're in the firm. I'm talking about your time in general. If you don't have downtime in the evening because you're so busy with doing laundry and dishes after you put the kids to bed, and therefore your stress level is higher, at some point it's affecting your performance during the day at work. You need to have some time to just unwind and relax and do some things for yourself, whether that means taking a bath or going for a jog outside or watching a TV show, or sipping a glass of wine and chatting with friends. It really doesn't matter what it is, but you need that unwinding time and that relaxing time. And if it's always run, do, your productivity is going to decline and you won't even notice that it's happening. But you will not be able to be successful in all of these things if that's your situation. So you can look at this, first of all, from a perspective of, okay, what can I delegate and what can I not delegate in every area of my life, not just in my firm? And when you look at it that way, what can I delegate at home? Well, then you can start looking, okay, can I have somebody come in and do the laundry and fold the laundry and put it away? Can I have somebody come in and do the dishes? Can I have somebody cook dinner? Now, it doesn't have to be somebody coming in. There could be a service for it. Grocery shopping is a perfect example. There is an abundance of delivery services for groceries today that wasn't available last year and wasn't available 5 years ago. Some of them were, but maybe not in every area. But now practically everywhere that you go, even Costco now has a delivery service. They've partnered with HelloFresh, and they deliver. And I don't know if it's every Costco, but my Costco delivers now. As a matter of fact, I meant to order this morning from Costco, and I forgot, and I'm going to take care of it tomorrow, get that order in, so that we can have milk and eggs and stuff like that, because this week I'm really busy and I'm not going to have time to go to the grocery store this week. The only time I'm going to have to go to the grocery store is after I took the kids into bed before midnight when they close, which is a very narrow window of 10 p.m. to midnight. And because of everything I have going on during the day at work, I need those 2 hours at night to either get my workout in or to unwind, go to sleep, and so I can wake up early the next day. There's a lot of things that I have, going on that are more important than going to the grocery store. And the grocery store, even if you're going in just for eggs and milk, ends up being a longer excursion because you really need more than that. So you end up figuring out that you need more than that. And by the time you finish grabbing this and that and the other, before you turn around, 30, 40 minutes, and then driving there, driving back, bringing the groceries in, unpacking, putting them away, you get my drift. It's at least an hour, maybe more. For me, because I don't go every week and I kind of push it until we desperately need it, it can be a 2-hour excursion going to the grocery store. So one of the things that you can think about is which of these things can be delegated and who can it be delegated to? Is there a service for this that I can do? Now, before you look at the monetary cost of that, because right away you're going to say, yeah, but that's expensive. It's, it costs money to have the groceries delivered. It's going to be more expensive than me going to the grocery store. It costs money to have somebody come in and do my laundry. It costs money. Let me tell you something. Start looking at what does it cost. What is the dollar amount that it's going to cost? And then I want you to think about what possibilities that time that you're buying back for that dollar amount is opening up for you. And it doesn't need to be correlated directly to working during that time. But if you have a clearer head at work during the day, if you have less stress, if you got more sleep, and you were able to be more productive at work during the day, wouldn't you be more effective in making money, and how much more effective do you need to be to pay the extra $20 or $30 it costs to have the groceries delivered? How much more effective do you need to be to cover $100 a week for having a housekeeper come in and do your laundry, or $200 or $300, whatever the dollar amount is? It's not a big hurdle to climb. So when you start to put it in that perspective, suddenly it becomes a very easy decision to start getting that help. I'm in a Facebook group where they're always encouraging you to do things like this. And somebody posted how they had no idea that hiring a housekeeper for 1 day a week for $100 would change their life. And for that $100 that they spent, they were able to free up way more than 8 hours of their own time, because they obviously were not as efficient as the housekeeper, the housekeeper that they hired is, because that's what they do and they do it well. And on top of that, they weren't able to function around the mess and the clutter, so it actually made a difference in their business moving forward. And it wasn't until they hired the housekeeper that they really started to take off. They were dabbling around in the $10,000 a month range. And then that $100 a week that they decided to pay for the housekeeper, and suddenly within 2 or 3 months, they had increased their, that business to $50,000 a month, which is wild. But that's really what's happening. What's happening is we're not seeing the big picture when we're making these decisions. Now, there are things you could do to get help with your kids, and some people listening to this probably already do it. You get an au pair, but there's a fine line between outsourcing some of the work, that like having somebody pick up your kids and take them from here to there, watch your kids when during a couple hours before daycare, when you have to be off to work. There's another thing where you're outsourcing your parenting, and I've seen both ends of the spectrum. So I've seen people use au pairs in the way that I think is correct, and again, it's my opinion. Other people would say no, that that that's what they're there for. But I've seen other people where the au pair is basically raising their children, and they're the parents are backseat attendees to their children's lives. And I don't think that's healthy, and I don't think it's good for the kids, and I don't think that's really what an au pair service is intended for. But getting an au pair is not that expensive, as long as you have a room in the house and you can meet the qualifications. It could be a life changer for some of the responsibilities that you have that require you to be there when you don't necessarily feel you need to be there as a parent. You're just being used for your ability to transport them, or your ability to bathe them, or your ability to feed them. You don't necessarily need to do the cooking, but the au pair can cook, and you can be there for dinner time. So there's so many examples where some of the stuff that you're doing is not necessary in order for you to still be a good parent and still be present in your children's lives 100% without sacrificing any of that, and buy back some of the time that you're spending in those areas. Now, if you don't have these problems that I'm laying out here because you don't have kids, that's okay. Take what I'm saying and think about it in the context of your firm. And I'm going to switch gears here now to going into your firm, because one of the things that we tend to do is we tend to do a lot of the things that could be delegated to somebody else, could be outsourced to an outside company, could be done automatically through software, or maybe doesn't need to be done at all. I don't know if I've mentioned it on a podcast earlier, but we can always mention things again. One of my coaches told me that you need to go through everything that you do and see if you can DAD it, DAD, if you can DAD it. And that's delete, automate, delegate, right? So do we really need to be doing this thing, or can we stop doing it? If we could stop doing it, let's delete it. Let's get rid of it. Let's stop doing it, right? Could it be automated? If it could be automated, then let's automate it, because that is the least expensive way to get it done. If it cannot be automated, it cannot be deleted, then let's see if it can be delegated. Can somebody else do this? And this is by far the hardest thing for a law firm owner to do, because it's very, very difficult to make yourself feel unnecessary. But I can tell you that there's very, very few things that require you and only you to do it. You're not the only attorney with this capability. And there are plenty of attorneys out there that can do the job that you think only you can do. I'll take it a step further. There is probably paralegals that can do some of the things that you feel only you can do. And as soon as you are willing to accept and welcome that fact and recognize that delegation is the key to your success, that being able to delegate those responsibilities and delegate those, and not just to do the work, but to take ownership of the work and own it from beginning to end, to hand that off to somebody else. That's true delegation. When you're able to start delegating things in that way, that is when your law firm will really start to thrive. Because until then, you're the bottleneck. If you haven't read the book, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, he talks about this at length, and that's what the whole book is about. And basically, it's, are you working in your business or on your business? You as the firm owner need to, as fast as you can, get to the point where you are not doing anything integral inside the business. And your entire job is planning the future, making big decisions, and checking in on the people who are in charge of everything else, so that you can get status reports and and you can control it from there. I'll describe it with an analogy that I know because I'm a first responder, but you probably know this from watching TV shows. If a fire department responds to a fire, right? The fire chief stays outside the fire the entire time. The fire chief never battles the fire. However, without the fire chief, many firefighters would perish in every single fire. The fire chief stands on the outside and gets the overall perspective of what's happening. He's able to see the big picture. And from there, he has his safety lieutenant check in with him. He has his operations lieutenant check in with him. He has they're on boots on the ground people who are in charge of pieces of the team are checking in with him to let him know a status report, where the team is, and he's also directing them of where they should go, or how they should attack the fire, how they should attack the rescue, how they should, what is the status? Is there somebody still missing? Do they still need to keep looking for people? The chief never goes in, always on the outside, because you need the leader to be somebody who is not doing the work. If the chief runs inside, he's useless to everybody else who's inside. And that's how you need to position yourself. You need to position yourself on the outside. You need to position yourself not doing the work that needs to be done in the firm. And if you're solo and trying to grow outside of solo, then this starts not by hiring an associate, not by hiring another attorney. This first starts by you doing the really, really painstaking tasks of picking what you're doing apart and figuring out which of this can I outsource overseas to somebody who costs me $2 or $3 an hour? Which of this can I outsource to somebody that I hire in-house at $10 to $15 an hour? And which of these things absolutely need a paralegal to touch? And therefore, I need to hire a paralegal, at whatever the rate of a paralegal is, depending on the place in the country, but it's more than the $15 an hour. And then if I still have work that I need to get off my plate that needs an attorney to touch, now I can look at hiring an attorney. And that's how you start to build your team. A lot of people start wrong and they bring on an associate first. Now you've got to fill an associate's calendar, and what that's going to do is take away from yours, and suddenly you can't feed yourself because you brought on the wrong person too quick at the beginning. So this is the ability to look at it in this way, and the ability to recognize that there is a very inexpensive way to get a lot of things done and buy your time back is the key to having the time to do the things that you need to do. And how that's looked for me is I'll take it from the other perspective. I chose to build my business in a way that I am not going to sacrifice my family in the process. And what that means is that I need to be so much more productive in the fewer hours that I have. So if I only have, out of 250, I did the math earlier, right? So there's 5 days, 250 days, right? So out of 250 days that everyone else has, I have 150 days because I'm a parent. I need to figure out how to put 250 days of productivity into those 150 days. I can't afford to let my business not flourish or not generate revenue or not generate the income because I'm not there. And therefore, I need to be very careful and mindful about what is it that I really need to have my hands on and what can I have someone else do, so that when my child is sick, the only thing I'm doing is needing to have somebody shuffle my calendar around. The only thing I'm doing is, delaying recording a podcast episode or something that integrally needs just me but cannot be outsourced to anybody else. Those are the only things that get affected when I need to shuffle those things around because something like that comes up. And on the rare occasion that I have something scheduled that I really can't move, like, hey, I have a full day session with a client, it's been pre-planned in advance, you know what? Then I rely on my wife, and she'll take care of my kid. Or we have, in-laws and parents. We'll find a way, or bring in a backup babysitter from somewhere to make that happen. But by and large, I am able to be there for my kids when they need me in that way, because I am setting up my business in a way that I am not necessary. And that's what I want you to hear. What I want you to hear is you're not necessary in your law firm, or at least that's where you need to get to. So as long as you are, you haven't arrived. As long as you are, you have not arrived as a law firm owner. You're still an attorney who has transferred their paycheck from getting paid by somebody else to paying yourself from your business. But the moment that you are not necessary, Mike Michalowicz said it best in his book, Clockwork. When you're able to take a 4-week vacation, that is when you have proven that you've got all of the systems and processes in place and all the manpower in place necessary to have your business run without you. Because 1 week, a 2-week, even a 3-week vacation, we could do enough pre-planning and enough pre-work and enough post-work to kind of make it like we weren't there for 3 weeks. But once you go past the 3-week mark, that's the point where, things cannot get kicked down the road, far enough for that. And that's the real litmus test, is the 4-week vacation. So I challenge you to make it a goal of yours to one day be able to take a 4-week vacation and make it one day soon, because that's going to force you to go through this process over and over again and do the DAD process: delete, automate, delegate. It's going to force you to bring on staff, or you don't need to bring it on in-house. Don't think about hiring full-time people. Don't jump to hiring full-time people. You can hire somebody part-time. You can outsource to a service that does it. It might be more expensive on paper, but it's not necessarily more expensive than hiring a full-time person. So sometimes it's better to just go to a service that provides it. They have to provide quality service for you. You're not happy with it, make them do it again, and you get it done. And you get it done, and it's still cheaper than bringing on somebody full-time, and it's far better than you doing it yourself. And you just become the orchestrator of all the work. So I hope that this was helpful for you. If you have any questions, let me know. Honestly, it took me a long time to arrive at this point, to be able to record this episode, to be able to talk about it in this way. And I'm going to talk about my journey some more if that resonates with you guys. So if an episode like this helped you, then I'll bring on more of them. Anyway, until next time, let's go get some profits. Let's grow our firms, and I will catch you on the next episode. That's it for this week's episode of Profit with Law. If you have enjoyed the show, please consider sharing it with at least one person. Imagine how many lives we can change if we each shared this episode. Another way to share the episode is on social media. We appreciate your support and look forward to you joining us again next week.